Hey, Nerd Herd, Dynasty Nerds here, back again, this time with another team audit. That's right, we're going to have another Nerd Herd member submit his team, check it out, see where he stands amongst his Dynasty brethren in his league, and see what we could do to help him get over that edge. I'm here joined today with, Jared Wackerly.
What up?
And Garrett Price.
How's it going?
We're going to dive into Dynasty GM and, see what we could do to help get this guy a better team overall, a dynasty team. So that's how we're going to look at it. And of course, if you want to play around the Dynasty Gym and you want to get some of the action, plus the bonus podcast, plus the Dynasty Nerds film room, use the promo code Audit and you'll get 15% off of any Dynasty Nerds membership. As you can see right here, that we're in the Dynasty GM. To the left in the taskbar, you have things like the league analyzer, which is going to bring up your league. We're going to dive into that today in Jimster's team here, kind of show you where you stand amongst your Dynasty league mates right there, where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are. The Dynasty GM is designed to streamline all your Dynasty leagues in one spot. That's right. Whether you're on MFL, Sleeper, Flea Flicker, Fantrax, they're all here. You upload them, play in here, and you can see all your leagues. And today we're going to take a look at Jimster's team. And where does he lie here, Jared? Where does Jimster stand amongst his leagues according to the Dynasty GM?
According to the GM, he is fourth right here. And those draft picks are really pushing him up to fourth.
Fourth from the bottom.
Fourth from the bottom. Yeah, sorry. Fourth from the back. I'm pointing at it right here.
So instantly we see here, Garrett, is Jimster's team is in need of dire help. I mean, I can't even see his tight ends and quarterbacks. I don't even know if he has any on his roster. I can't tell.
Yeah, let's go through it. I'll highlight over it here.
Okay.
His quarterbacks, he's got Trey Lance, Ryan Tannehill, Matt Ryan. This is a 1 QB league.
All right. That's okay. So we saw his quarterbacks to Trey Lance, Ryan Tannehill, and Matt Ryan. Let's check out his running backs.
Javonte Williams, Michael Carter, and Mike Boone.
Okay.
Not very many there.
No.
Wide receiver, a lot more players.
Okay.
I'll say that, but still pretty weak.
Pretty raw.
Yeah, a couple young guys you can build around.
Okay.
Tight end, let's see if I can get in there.
Can you get that little sliver?
Yeah.
There it is.
Logan Thomas, Brevin Jordan, Dan Arnold, and Harrison Bryant.
Okay. And then what his strongest point, the GM says, is his draft capital. So I'm assuming his team is so bad, he's got a ton of good draft capital. So what does he got rolling down there?
104 this year, 2023 first, 2024 first. So still has all his picks for, I assume this is his first round pick here for this year. He's got 112 this year, 201, 204.
Okay. So we'll 204, 201, 112, and 14. That's going to give him a little bit of ammunition there. We'll kind of start there. And he's got his 23 first as well, which is good. So he's not draft pick depleted. 14, he's going to get a pretty good prospect in this year's draft, as we got some good guys at the top of the draft class, whether it be Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks, Isaiah Spiller, Kenneth Walker, one of those guys. Starting at the top, just for me, I'm going to say at the quarterback list there, he's got Trey Lance. And if you listen to Dynasty Nerds podcast, or if you're not, I had an inside source tell me, this was last week, that from a very reliable source, there's somebody in the locker room that does not think Trey Lance is the guy there. And they highly recommended that if you have any Trey Lance shares, to trade him away from your Dynasty League. So I'm going to stick by this source because it's a really, really good source. And if it was outside of a coach, nobody would know better. So to me, if this is my team, I'm looking to move Trey Lance right away. I mean, this is a team that is not set up for success whatsoever. Going through that list, I don't know what you think, Garrett, but there's some guys on that list already I think might be better in-season trades than trading now, because right now, this time of the year, this is the hardest time to trade for 22 draft picks. So as we sit here and we're like, hey, let's try and make some move for some draft picks, this will be the hardest time to trade. Like when we look at Hunter Renfrow on that team, right? It's going to be a little harder to trade a guy like Hunter Renfrow, who just had his breakout season last year, for a draft pick this year. Where if Hunter Renfrow picks up where he left off last year, and I remind you, he was a wide receiver 1 last year, you'll be much better off trading him week 3, week 4. So he looked at somebody I want to trade, but I feel like trading Hunter Renfrow now, we're going to get less in return. And sometimes when you're making dynasty trades, the time of year is important to making these moves because you don't want to sell yourself short just because it's almost draft season. So if somebody's going to offer you a second round pick for Hunter Renfrow, I'm saying heck no to that offer. He was a wide receiver 1 last year. They bring in Davante Adams. That should open things up. Definitely more short things underneath for him as well. So what are you looking at this team, Garrett? Because they're saying he does have some good quality picks here. Like to me, Javonte Williams, he's got to be on the move. I think Trey Lance is a good enough name. And from what I'm hearing, I think he should be on the move. What are your first instincts here, Garrett, on what we should be doing with this team?
So I think you're spot on with the Trey Lance, and it seems slightly counterintuitive. You're like, well, it's a bad team and a young quarterback. I'd want that. In a 1 QB league, I really couldn't care less about my quarterback position in a rebuild. I don't care if you trade him and Ryan Tannehill and Matt Ryan. Like I don't care if you would trade them all. I know you're not going to get much for them because it's a 1 QB league, but right now you want your 2023 first round pick to be the 1-1. So don't have a quarterback on your roster that's going to be doing good things for you. So whether that means you're trading for, Trevor Lawrence maybe, or trading for some rookie quarterbacks this year, or whatever that might be, you can always reacquire a Matt Ryan later if your team becomes a title contender. You can always reacquire a Russell Wilson. You can always reacquire some of those kind of players. So I would absolutely just deplete my quarterback room. You mentioned Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow is a tricky one because even though, Rich, I definitely agree that it's a weird sell right now. It's also tricky because we don't know what Davante Adams' presence is going to mean. Is that going to be a positive thing? Is that going to be a negative thing for Hunter Renfrow? I just can't imagine he gets quite the volume that he got last year. So that's the only thing that's making me question Renfrow a little bit. Would it be better to sell him now, or is it better to wait? I would at least field offers and just kind of see where it's at and see if that's something that's good enough to trade right now. But you hit the nail on the head, and this is painful for me to do because I love Javonte Williams. I'm one of the biggest Javonte Williams truthers in the world, but this team isn't ready to compete right now, and this is the one piece on his team that can absolutely get him a king's ransom. And we still don't know that Melvin Gordon still could go back there. I don't think he's going to. All reports are saying he's not, but he's still a free agent. They could still bring in somebody via the draft that could be in there to take some touches. So if it's up to me, I am looking to move Javonte Williams, and especially with how weak this running back class is overall, I think you will still be able to get good draft picks back for him at this point. So I'm looking to move Javonte for 2 plus a good player, 2 firsts plus a good player, or 3 firsts, something like that. And I think in a league like this, you'll probably be able to get it because Jared, I think, is highlighting it right now. A couple of these teams could use another running back, a really solid running back 1 or running back 2 that would really make them a competitor. So maybe you get yourself a really solid upside receiver. I know you already have guys like Pittman and Moore, which are great, but you can never hurt to bolster that room or the tight end room. So that would be another one that I would really like to see bolstered a little bit. So it hurts me, but I'm getting rid of Javonte.
I was going to say, let me flip over to the contender ranks here. So in the Dynasty GM, we have the toggle button up here in the top left. So right now we're in the Dynasty view. So this is putting all the teams in order, how they are in terms of their dynasty value. So long-term outlook. We flip it over to the contender ranks. This is win now mode. So what teams in your league are ready to win right now? So we can flip over to here to see what teams in the league might be good to trade with. Send Javonte Williams, maybe put that team over the top.
Oh yeah, team 2 and 3 there. Those 2 teams look like they might be able to take a running back.
Definitely team 2. And what you're doing here in trading Javonte Williams, we kind of talked. It's funny because he came up in the last audit show too.
He did.
Yeah.
And Garrett said, like, you're aiming for the 23-1-1. So what we're trying to do here is gain draft capital, trying to gain youth, and gain some cornerstone players here. And aiming for the 1-1, trading away Javonte Williams, it'll put us in a good position to get Bijan Robinson next year or a Tank Bigsby next year. So we want to put by taking a running back out, we know we can get a really good quality running back at 1-1 next year, which is going to be a really strong running back class. We saw his receivers are a little weak. I'm with Garrett. I'm trying to bolster my tight end room a little bit if I can as well, because that is a slowly developed position. So if I'm going to try and turn this team into a 3-year window, I'd like to get a young guy now as he develops into that full-fledged wide tight end one, and not just a regular tight end one, a top 6 guy. So Javonte Williams should definitely be our first trade here in contender mode. It looks like team 2 has more wide receivers and can use a little bit running back help. Who are the running backs there at team 2? What team is that?
So that is Dylan J. Stoll. I'm writing these names down because when we flip back over to Dynasty mode, we're able to see their draft picks.
Okay. So he's got DeAndre Swift. He's got Josh Jacobs. He's got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And like any other Clyde Edwards-Helaire owner right now, they're shaking in their booties because, hey, they just bring in Ronald Jones. They've done everything they can to not give Clyde Edwards-Helaire the main road, like just to success there. And even bringing around Jones, it seems like they've done it again. So even though he's a first-round pick, it looks like Clyde Edwards-Helaire Dynasty running back one upside is getting dimmer and dimmer as the days go by. So it seems like with DeAndre Swift and Josh Jacobs, he's in a good spot. What receivers does he have?
Cooper Kupp, Jefferson. Man, he's loaded. Tyreek Hill, Waddle, Mike Williams, Cooks, Bateman, Peoples-Jones. Might be a nice little throw in.
So we have zero interest in Cooper Kupp because of age. It's going to be really hard to get Justin Jefferson off of this roster. But I don't know what you think here. I mean, that's immediately. I mean, Jalen Waddle is a nice get here, but I'm immediately looking at that Justin Jefferson player right there. And Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, probably 2 of the hardest dynasty assets to acquire, along with Jonathan Taylor. But a guy Javonte Williams right now, who some considered as dynasty running back 3 overall. I think that's a good start to get your foot in the door here. So
I think Waddle might be a nice target because he's got Tyreek Hill too. So he might not want
Waddle
2
too.
Receivers from the same team.
He's got Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, he's got Tyreek right above Waddle.
Oh, okay. So
that might be a nice little pitch.
Yeah, I actually think that lowers the value somewhat in the eyes of this owner, because he's like, oh man, I do have both of these guys. I don't want them. So I think you're right. We might look at Jalen Waddle here plus a pick.
Yeah, let's go back to Dynasty View and see his picks.
Yeah, go to the Dynasty.
Perfect trade market. This is a perfect trade partner for us right off the bat. He just had a recent trade in the NFL that gave him dual wide receivers on the same team.
He's got no picks.
He's back a little bit. He's got no picks.
He's got no picks.
He's got the 411 this year. No wonder his team's stacked.
What about the team right next to him that has all the picks and the tight ends there? What do they have?
Yeah, but they're not. I don't think they're dynasty.
Yeah, let's see. So this is MM Maggio.
Well, if you have that many picks, you might. If they're mostly this year, he might be competing this year. See, that's what I wondered if he had Pitts there. He has Pitts and Andrews. I wonder if there's a way that you could take Pitts
and
off his hands.
Yeah. What do you think, Rich?
Who is his running backs? J.K. Dobbins and Kenneth Gates. So he needs a running back. Who's his receivers?
A.J. Brown, Ayuk, Amon-Ra. Pretty much it.
He's got all his draft picks.
He's got a lot of draft picks. 102. He's got 3 23 firsts. He's got the 111 this year as well.
All right. So if we target Kyle Pitts here, which is a clear target, we're not going to run him back. We could replace him with Kenneth Walker if we wanted to at 1-2, or we could take a guy like Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks, along those lines at 1-2. I don't know about you guys, but being that tight end premium, I would love to get Kyle Pitts here, but I don't see. I feel like we could do better for this team than trading away Javonte Williams for like Kyle Pitts and a 23 first, right? Like I just feel like we could do better than that.
I would love that deal personally, because you're talking about Kyle Pitts that's going to be an asset for the next decade. And then if you can get a first on top of it, if that's a deal that can actually be done, I personally would be totally fine with doing that.
Well, what first does he has? Let's put it that way.
He's got the 111. That's more realistic,
But
probably.
he's got 3 firsts. What three
He's got
firsts?
3
are these?
23 firsts.
So I'd love to get a list here of the 23 firsts that he has, and then go back to contender, and I want the worst. I want the worst one, which is probably his pick, but I want the worst one.
Yeah, let's use the draft picks tool to see which 23 firsts or what projected picks that Maggio has. So we have the draft picks function over here on the left, and you can go over to the 2023 tab. We see Maggio is projected to have the 102 and 23, the 111 and the 112. So he's got 2 shitty 23 firsts.
So the target would be his first. So
yeah,
likely a top 5 23 first potentially in Kyle Pitts or Javonte Williams. So that sounds a little bit more enticing. Or would you want Jalen Waddle and Josh Jacobs?
See, I don't know that I would want Josh Jacobs personally. I don't think I'm trying to add any running backs to my roster.
Yeah, but I'm flipping Josh Jacobs.
Right.
In theory, but Josh Jacobs has been a tough guy to buy and sell. People don't like him as much as I do personally. So
you're right, and I like him a lot too. That's probably the thing. So you would say the first offer would be to and we would say, hey, you give us Kyle Pitts, you give us your 23 first, and we want your 23 second. And we'll give you Javonte Williams.
You're trying to take this man for everything he has.
So we want a 23 first.
No, we're just gonna get the first. It's gonna be hard enough right there.
Yeah, I think that'll be tricky enough to get the first out of it. But yeah.
So here, and what you're seeing here is in the trade calculator. Our trade calculator is going to be different than some other sites trade calculator. When you use the Dynasty GM and you go to make a trade, you don't have to go look at what a team has, what assets they have. It will automatically bring up every asset that your league mate has. So you can go to build your own trade, and that will work like any other regular trade calculator. Our trade calculator, once you import your leagues, you click on the league in the top left, what you want to do, what league you want to bring up, and then any team you want to trade with, it's going to show you what they have. So this shows us right here that we are winning this trade by 1,300 points. And if this person doesn't have it, they're going to feel like they're overpaying. And you know what? For elite running back, that's the price of doing business. If you want a young, talented running back, if you want Jonathan Taylor, if you want DeAndre Swift, if you want Javonte Williams or Najee Harris, you are paying an overpay for them because the supply and demand on those are very limited. And just I feel like Breece Hall is going to be in the same conversation by the time we're talking 2023. So to me, I think this is a win. The trade calculator says it's a win. And if he can get him to accept, then I think we're in a good spot. Would you guys be okay if he counters like, hey, I want your 23 third? Are you willing to give the 23 third up on top of that?
Oh, yeah. The third's never going to change my mind personally.
Which we would assume to be 3-1.
Right.
But I'm okay with that too, because now that'll give us 2 firsts. We have 2 firsts this year. We have 2-1 this year, which is going to give us in a position to add an upside receiver. Maybe Jahan Dotson slips, Alec Pierce, Sky Moore, Christian Watson, someone along those lines. If we want to add an upside running back and Zamir White, we could get Zamir White there. Depending on where a guy like Trey McBride lands, maybe we just try to bolster the room there and kind of overpay on a guy like Trey McBride if he goes in the second round, say to the Jets.
I wouldn't hate that at all at 2-1 or 2-4 because he has 2-4 as well. So,
which you can get Trey McBride for sure at 2-4.
I think so as well. So I think that would be a perfect nab here. So even if you wanted to go the route where you're like, this guy you might not be willing to touch Kyle Pitts. There's a lot of fantasy football managers that wouldn't sell him despite having Mark Andrews. So you might have to go a different route. But I wouldn't hate pairing Trey McBride with another young upside tight end, Irv Smith Jr., guys like that have upside, and try to see if you can get 1 or 2 of those guys to hit because it's still going to be 2 years or so until you're competing anyway.
Sorry for this quick interruption, guys, but I want to take this quick moment to tell you about our friends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is a great site that you can go to right now and an app to make prop bets. It's the #1 legal prop site out there on the market today, and you can make prop bets on any sport, whether it be March Madness in basketball, NBA basketball, golf, soccer, baseball. If it's a sport, they got prop bets for it, and they got prop bets coming up for the NFL draft here soon. But right now, if you use that promo code NERDS, they're going to give you a 100% deposit match up to $100. So if you put $100 in there, you're going to count to have $200 to get out there and start making prop bets today. Get out there, check them out. And right now, we're running a special offer for our YouTube viewers right here on this channel only. If you make a prop bet for a future bet in the NFL, because we're NFL guys, so that's where we want to push that action. If you make a future bet right now that say maybe Javonte Williams is going to have over 1,400 rushing yards or under, if you make that bet and you screenshot it and you send it to our @DynastyNerds Twitter DM, we will send you a free Dynasty Nerds shirt, the most comfortable shirt in the world. Your nipples will thank you. I promise you this. So if you want to increase your high five intake, that's the way to do it. Promo code NERDS, prop bet, PrizePicks, win some money, get free swag, and get yourself a little bit more action in this offseason. Check them out, our friends at PrizePicks, promo code NERDS. Yeah, so I think it's a good ad there along those lines. This is a move that we can't. I mean, again, Kyle Pitts falls into a very hard dynasty asset to acquire, right? Like he's a dynasty darling. Pretty much had 1,000 yards his rookie year. They lose Calvin Ridley for the entire year this year. They lose Matt Ryan. We don't know who the quarterback is going to be. They say it's going to be Marcus Mariota. We'll see if that lasts all year. If anything, that might hurt Pitt's value a little bit. Mariota is not known for his deep ball. I mean, I guess Mariota is not really known for any of his ball, really. It's his legs that people
His
like.
running
to me.
ball.
So
yeah, I mean, I'm surprised they haven't made a move for Baker Mayfield. I thought they could just do much better than Mariota. So that's our first offer.
Yeah, now that we've done that trade, he had a question. He said, should he trade out of 104 to get 23 picks or any of his other picks? Should he trade out to get 23 picks?
Yeah, I mean, as long as they're top 5, 23 picks, but I don't know what you think.
It's a good enough wide receiver class where I might be trying to take one of these wide receivers to build around. He's not ready to start taking running backs yet.
I agree 100%. If I could move out of that 111 or 112 for a 23 pick, any 23 pick whatsoever for that 112, I would. But I'm with you, Jared. I'm sticking there, and I am going to go ahead and take the
Garrett
receiver
Wilson
at 1-4. I don't know. I don't think Garrett Wilson will be there at 1-4. Possibly.
Some people are up Treylon Burks at 1. We'll see how the draft goes, but
yeah. But one of those guys, Treylon Burks or Garrett Wilson, I'm taking them at 4. Or honestly, with his team, I love Kenneth Walker, and I'm okay with taking Kenneth Walker too. His best bet might be just if Garrett Wilson is the guy, is taking Garrett Wilson, taking another receiver at 4, bolsters his room. It gives him Elijah Moore and Michael Pittman, because we didn't even talk about the receivers yet. Those are 2 guys I'm not trading. There are 2 players on his team that are still young enough to offer the upside. I don't think they've hit peak value yet. So I'm going to hold on to both of those guys.
Agreed.
Unless I could trade, like I might be willing to trade like in season or now a Matt Ryan and Michael Pittman combo, right? Like since he does have Matt Ryan, that might be a combination that might interest people for the stack if they can kind of stack those 2 players. But on his team, those are 2 players I'm not trading. I mean, that's all he really has behind his draft pick draft picks. I mean, he's got Kadarius Toney, who offers some good upside. I mentioned before, I think Hunter Renfrow is an in-season trade candidate. I mean, I'm not saying you can't throw him out there now, Garrett. I bet I think you can get more now. If we could throw him in a package, can we throw Trey Lance and him into a package? Like Hunter Renfrow, maybe Trey Lance into a package?
Yeah, potentially. I don't know what you would be able to get. You could try to get a first, but I doubt you'd be able to. You might be able to get like a high second for that package.
Yeah, but I'm not
for Trey Lance and Renfrow.
Yeah,
I might just be trying to get another receiver back. You know what I mean? Or a player that's down. I mean, who's that last place team? They have no quarterbacks whatsoever. They may be looking for a young quarterback.
Goff, Brady, Jones, Trask.
Goff, Brady, Jones, Trask.
Yeah, they
But
could
who are
use
the
it.
receivers?
Diggs, Evans, Kirk, Beasley, Higgins.
Yeah,
Nobody that we'd want as a rebuild.
right.
No. Yeah. But it looks like he's set up to compete a little bit sooner than now. He might be interested in Matt Ryan. He's got Tom Brady, so he doesn't need another old quarterback. He's set actually at quarterback.
For this year, yeah.
So he's out. I mean, he's out.
Switch
He's
back
somebody
over to
looking at
Dynasty
later.
or contender mode real quick.
Contender. Yeah, that guy's all the way down here. So think about one quarterback leagues. It's tough to trade a quarterback.
They're always hard to trade, so he might have to stick it out with Trey Lance. All
This guy
together.
only has Herbert.
Oh, he's got Kirk Cousins.
No, it's
Oh
just
no, just oh, he
Mr.
just
Dave.
has. That's it. Justin Herbert. Nobody else.
Yeah.
Who's his
Possible.
tight ends?
Waller, Schultz, Gronk,
And who's his wide receivers?
Hop, Keenan Allen, Godwin, Michael Thomas, Odell, Parker, Davis.
Godwin
Green.
could be a decent target.
Yeah, but we already made it. We had to involve Javonte Williams in there.
Right. I don't think it's bad to give several potential options in case that Kyle Pitts one doesn't work out.
Well, let's take Javonte Williams for this audit. Let's take him off the table. We already made that trade. We have Pitts and a 23 first.
Okay.
Could we flip to this guy's team right here? Could we flip Trey Lance for a 23 second?
Let's see. Mr.
Is that
Dave.
even possible? I know he has Justin Herbert, but he might get real intrigued by the fact of having Justin Herbert and Trey Lance. He might be like, oh, I have two good young quarterbacks.
Doesn't have any.
Well,
no seconds at all.
There's one trade that we haven't explored that I mean, this guy has both the UNC running backs from last year, but Michael Carter is another player that I think has been gaining some steam lately. A lot of people have been talking about him, and he's a guy that also could lose some value in the draft if the Jets take a, between the tackles grinder. Would we consider maybe selling off Michael Carter as well to try to get a 23 first?
If you can get a 23 first for Carter, I would do that. I don't think you could. I like Carter enough where I'm not selling it for anything less.
Could you get him for like 110 this year?
I'd rather have Michael Carter
as a rebuild.
Yeah, he's still a rookie court running back. I mean, we only have, as of right now, we have 23 firsts. We could take running backs, but we know you need 3 running backs to go into a league title year. I feel like Michael Carter's value to this team still holds true. And same thing, if I'm selling Michael Carter, I'm selling Michael Carter in season. Early, he's producing. He's a PPR running back. I think he showed enough last year where they could put up low end to high end running back 2, high end running back 2 numbers, the low end running back 1 numbers on a good week. So a running back like him, his value will increase as these running backs start to drop to ACL injuries.
The only thing
you have a much better chance.
This is another one that's coming from the Shanahan system. It would not shock me at all if they draft another 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round running back, and all of a sudden Michael Carter just becomes solely more of a 3rd down running back. So that's the only thing that worries me is, will his value actually be higher later than it is right now?
And I mean, no offense to Jimster, or Jimster, sorry. He's so far away from competing. Like, does having Michael Carter for the next couple of years really matter?
No, but I feel like I'm not afraid to float him out there. I saw him go pretty high in a startup Michael Carter recently.
Yeah.
But if you want my opinion on him, he's to be a better in-season trade if you trade him.
Okay.
Kind of, I feel like the same way of, again, it makes it a little bit more difficult this time of year because I feel like trying to trade Michael Carter for a draft pick, you're taking a loss. And a team in this position, I'm not prepared to take a loss in any trade I make. Like, I'm not prepared to be the loser in the trade. I think Michael Carter, and yeah, you guys should be worried about the Jets bringing in. I thought Michael Carter looked good enough last year. I'm not worried about it. You still have running backs. There are two running backs that can produce here. I think Michael Carter will be the starter in the Jets to start the year. even if they're bringing a young guy, I think Michael Carter will start the year no matter what. Kind of how Melvin Gordon started the year as the guy in Denver last year. So I think there will be a window if you do want to sell Michael Carter, even if you bring a guy that you're somewhat worried. Say they bring in a guy like Dameon Pierce in the 3rd round, right? To go to with Michael Carter.
Yeah,
and somebody like, oh, yeah. And you're like, oh, that could mess with my Michael Carter shares. I think the numbers that Michael Carter's will put up between weeks 1 and 3 will be mid-range running back 2 numbers to high-end running back 2 numbers. Definitely as they ease Zach Wilson into the year as well. And by week 3, we'll have already for sure lost 2 starting running backs to the season. I mean, we're going to lose some before the season starts, at least one of them. So by week 3, we'll have already lost a couple starting running backs. And these teams are starting to compete in. I mean, look at some of these guys in contender mode already. Their running back depth is already pretty slim. So if we just want to get Michael Carter for a random 23 first straight up, I am targeting week 1 through week 3 for that 23 first. Because again, I think we'd be a little, I have no problem offering that now. Hey, let me get a 23 first for Michael Carter. I bet you get a lot more rejection than accepted. Where somebody gets a little bit more desperate and he actually put a little bit more proof in to put in weeks 1 through 3, you might be getting a 23 first and a 23 second in those weeks if he's actually putting up those PPR points.
Yeah. This is the guy I'd be targeting, that Maggio guy again. I think that's who we got Kyle Pitts off of. But, I mean, we already got a 23 first from him, so maybe not.
Yeah, but yeah, and I expect his team to be doo-doo as well. I don't think his team will be doing it as well. So the people that we're going to be trading Michael Carter to will be contenders. Somebody that lost a running back that's in that contender ranks.
Yeah.
Somebody is going to need Michael Carter. So I feel
This
like,
team.
again, you could offer him now. I just don't know if the best bang for your buck is there. I mean, he's got Travis. Oh, yeah, this team right away needs a running back.
Yeah.
Yep. There's really only 3 guys that are solid. But Etienne and Harris are far from sure things, with both of them being in committee backfields. And a team like that could use a 4th guy that would be in a similar range as those 2 players. So that would probably be a good one for Michael Carter to get.
We'd have to get a 24 first from him. That's what we would have to get, because that's all he has. It's the only first he has.
And sometimes it's good. Some people want to say, hey, on the 23 class, I have no we know Travion Henderson's going to be in the 24 class for sure.
Yeah.
We know that class will have some upside as well. And listen, every class offers upside. People thought the 2022 class was going to be somewhat weak. But if you had a team where 2 down, and what's nice about trading 24, it's so far down the road, that team structure could change drastically, end up being a 1-1. I've done it many times where I trade out for 2 years to a team that's a contender, and then that pick ends up being a top 3 pick, whether it be just their team fell apart or they had a bad year of injury. So sometimes it's good to take that gamble because you might end up so much higher. Definitely a team that has a little bit of age to it. So I have no problem doing that as well, trading Michael Carter for a 24 first, seeing that you most likely got him with a 2021 second. So you're upgrading there. But I for me personally, I'm still feeling that you could probably get a little bit that 23 first in season, but it shows right here this is a pretty fair trade out the gate. And what we're trying to do is we're just trying to grab as much draft capital as possible, because it's either we use that draft capital or, again, first round picks as you get closer to the draft are always going to be worth way more this time of the year. So that gives us 224 first, where everybody's talking, hey, Travion Henderson, you want him? Hey, I got 224 first. Why don't you go ahead and give me Justin Jefferson? That's not going to happen, but something along those lines. It's going to get your foot in the door, and you're going to be able to start negotiating.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would love this trade. I mean, so far, this would add, we would have acquired 2 first-round picks and Kyle Pitts and traded away 2 running backs. One that, I'm fine with getting rid of Michael Carter in this situation, because
me
I'm
too.
not ready to compete probably 2 to 3 years out, to be honest. So, yeah, I would love that.
I would do this as well, the 24 first. I didn't think we would be able to get a 23 first. I didn't even think of the 24. So I think this would be a good trade too. Puts our team in a almost guaranteed position to get the 1-1. So we know we're going to get 1-1, and we know we got another high first coming in behind it.
Yeah, I would be totally down for doing this as well, but I'm fine with getting any sort of first. Like I said, if it ended up being the 110 for me, I think that there's some solid receivers in this class that I'd be fine getting as well. So, but you get it this year in 23 and 24, I don't really care. Give me a first for Michael Carter. That's a net gain overall, and you don't have to carry any of the risk for a 4th-round satellite back.
Ooh. All right. Let's get rid of Trey Lance. Let's make a third and final move here for this rebuild. Let's try to get rid of Trey Lance, or at least one of these quarterbacks.
We got to get rid of a quarterback. We gotta deplete that room. And then, you know what? It might be for this team. It might just be worth it to hold on to Trey Lance just by chance he turns it around this year. Again, in a 1 QB league, I think we're just looking at a contender that doesn't have a lot of depth. Can we package Tannehill and Matt Ryan together? Is that a deal? Is there any room here where we could trade Matt Ryan and Michael Pittman? What about this? Is there a room here? So Michael Pittman's a good young wide receiver, right? We consider him a cornerstone.
Yeah, someone we could build around here.
Is there a way that we can find a path to? We have 112 in this draft, right? We know draft picks are hot.
We have 111 and 104.
Okay, so we have 104 and 111. Is there any opportunity to take a 111, the Matt Ryan and Michael Pittman stack, and upgrade off of Michael Pittman?
You're right, 112, and we have 201.
Oh, it is 112. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, Rich. Repeat your question.
Is there a way to take the Matt Ryan and Michael Pittman stack, right, to someone else to win, and even then possibly throw in 112 and upgrade our receiver position? So going back to the Jalen Waddle team, we know that guy has Tyreek Hill and he's got Jalen Waddle. So he's probably pretty interested in potentially separating the two so he's not as loaded here. And who's his quarterback?
Josh Allen and Kirk Cousins.
See, that's the only thing that sucks is he's good at quarterback. That's the only thing it makes it hard.
Can we
it makes it hard in
one
QB.
quarterback leagues? He said they started this 5 or 6 years ago, though. So Superflex wasn't even a thing.
All my old leagues are 1 QB leagues. All of them.
Me too.
You know, my 18-year-old league, my 11-year-old league.
I'll be honest. For me, if I'm able to do a deal where the quarterback is the sweetener, cool. But I would just be I would be throwing.
You're always throwing.
Yeah, please cut that.
So
I would be throwing out offers for, hey, give me your 3rd-round pick. Give me your 4th-round pick for these quarterbacks. Not because you're necessarily winning those trades, but simply that way you don't have to start them during the season to ensure that you get the 1-1. Because that's the tough part is if they're still on your roster week 1, and if this is a league that's doing what it's supposed to do, you're going to have anti-tanking rules. You're not going to be allowed to not, start your best quarterback. So if Matt Ryan is there, there's a realistic chance that he finishes as a top 12 quarterback this season. You don't want that.
You got to get rid of that stack. Yeah, you got to get rid of that stack so you're not doubling down. Yeah, I'd put Matt Ryan's on the board. I'd say, hey, Matt Ryan's available. Best offer gets him. Draft picks only.
Yeah,
he's gone by midnight.
All right, 311. That's what I got. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm
I
drafting
like that
Kate
strategy,
on.
Garrett. Roster tanking, especially in this situation.
Yep. I think that's the best way to do it.
This team is somewhat hard to the rebuild here. Like for us to sit here and try and remap this whole team in one session is gonna be hard because he doesn't have a lot of assets. Like Javonte Adams is that best asset. So I honestly think for
Javonte
what we
Adams.
did, or Javonte Williams, I think with what we did here, I think we set a good set and pace. And what I would love to do, Jimster, is I would love to get this team back next year and then reevaluate then.
Right.
For the second step, Jimster part 2, because I think we did the best we can right here.
Yeah.
I'm with Garrett. I think we trade away those quarterbacks for anything we can possibly get. We get Michael Carter for any first we can get. We hope that Javonte Williams trade can be pulled off. If not, should we look at that? I guess, right. Okay, so that guy says no to Kyle Pitts. Then do we focus on trying to get Jalen Waddle plus?
I'd be fine with that.
That would be my next move, especially with that owner owning Tyreek Hill as well.
Yeah, I mean, to me, they're pretty close in value, Jalen Waddle and Javonte Williams. So I don't need a ton on top.
I think the general perception is fairly down though. So I think you
It
could
is down.
I think you could definitely get a 23 first, or maybe you even do this. Maybe you which team has the one? Well, no, there would be no point in getting Breece Hall right now. I was gonna say which team has the 1-1. I'd be curious, but or maybe it's simply just this guy doesn't want to get rid of any of his young assets, and you just take 3 first-round picks and you call it a day. That could be a possibility as well.
He doesn't have a lot of draft picks either, though.
The MM guy, he does.
No, the guy who's Jalen Waddle.
Isn't that the guy that has Jalen Waddle, or no? Am I thinking of a different team?
The guy who has Jalen Waddle is at 24 first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he doesn't have many picks.
All right. So what would we be able to get on top of him on that team? Because he doesn't have a tight end that's going to help us.
Peoples-Jones. We could get a couple more receivers possibly.
Most of those guys are older, though. Jalen Waddle, his 24 first, and
I think that's it. I think that's it. I mean, that's fine that people are somewhat down on Jalen Waddle, but I don't think they're going to be that down, Garrett.
You don't think you'll be able to get more than Waddle on a 24 first for Javonte?
I don't think so. I wouldn't give more than that. That's the most I would give.
I think you might be able to. I could be wrong.
I'd love to get Peoples-Jones thrown in here. Just take a shot. Show some flashes.
He's got so much depth there. So that says we're losing that trade.
Right.
No, we're winning it. We're winning it by 600.
No, we're losing it. We're sending away 600 more.
Does he have any 23 picks whatsoever?
Yeah, he's got some seconds.
Okay. Get him in there.
Or instead of that, what if instead of Donovan Peoples-Jones, you put in Rashad Bateman, and then you give over a third as well if you need to?
Yeah, I would love to switch out Bateman over Peoples-Jones. I was thinking that when you said Peoples-Jones.
A little uneven now. Let's see if we can throw in.
As I said, throw in a third or something to help even it out, or even a second or something. I don't know.
No second. No second.
Yeah, because he's got 201 and 204. This could be pretty good in this draft. Get like Jahan Dotson.
That's the offer I'm making.
I think so too.
And again, he's overpaying, but again, we're trying to. This is if the Pitts offer doesn't work. We're trying to leverage that. He just found himself recently in the Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill situation. Like he just got this, so he's fresh in that. Like, oh shit, man! I went from having 2 top 8 guys to 2 guys on the same team, so it's probably a little bit more unlikely to both be top 8 guys.
Right.
So I think the overpay is going to be okay in his eyes because he's on low. We're doing him a favor. He's got the depth at receiver to unload Bateman as well. A 24 first is 2 years down the road, so he's not going to sweat that as much as anything else. And he's getting one of the elite running backs in the game in the Dynasty community's eyes.
Yeah.
So
and let's just say calculators don't have to be exact, guys. This is a guide. Throw some offers out there. It's always league specific, owner specific.
Yeah, and even calculator to calculator, the values will vary too. So you utilize whatever calculator helps it make look good for the other team.
Yeah,
I like this offer better than the Kyle Pitts offer.
Okay.
Do you? I like both. I'd be good to get neither.
Actually, no, I don't, because that 23 first from him is going to be really high. And then you know what? And that's what I'm telling you. I have a feeling that guy would reject that trade because he knows his team's bad. He knows his 23 first is going to be high, and he'll be like, "I'll just draft a receiver at running back at 1-2 next year." So,
yeah, and
I think there's a higher chance.
This guy's second in contender ranks
out.
that we're dealing with right now. So I think that trade's more likely to go through, and he needs another running back.
He does. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's, and you know what? I'm really comfortable with that because if we could flip Michael Carter, it gives us 324 first, with a team knowing that our team will probably be bad in 23 as well. So our pick will be high in 23. So then we could be in position to get Travion Henderson. So we can come away Bijan Robinson 20 and Travion Henderson, and still, like we said, flip a quarterback in season. Flip Trey Lance at some point in season. Flip Hunter Renfrow in season, even if it's for a second. If he starts off high, maybe you could offer a second and a first to get a first. Hunter Renfrow and a second to get just higher up in the 23 first.
So let's talk about who he should be targeting in this draft. That was another one of his questions. Who should I be taking with 2022, 104, 112, 201, 204? Let's talk about those 4 picks there.
I'll give my like perfect scenario. If this were me, the perfect scenario that he could walk away with in the draft, and obviously this is before we know landing spots, so this could shift slightly. But perfect scenario, he gets Garrett Wilson at 104 because Walker and Hall go 1 and 2, and Burks or Drake London goes at 103. So that would be my favorite if he's able to get Garrett Wilson there. Then at 112
I would agree, Garrett, that is best case scenario in my eyes that Garrett Wilson falls to him at 1-4.
Okay. So, but just best available receiver there, no matter what?
To me, it's either Garrett Wilson or Treylon Burks. One of those guys will be there at 1-4 because you got to imagine Kenneth Walker and Breece Hall are both going to 1-2 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So in my eye, I don't know how you guys feel, but I would be really happy with Treylon Burks or Garrett Wilson. The draft will clear a little bit of that up because they say like if Jameson Williams goes to the Chiefs or the Packers,
sure,
that might juicify a little bit where, hey, I could take that upside as well.
Sure. So then at I'm really looking to just build up my wide receiver room until 204 where I'm taking Trey McBride. So those back-to-back picks 112 and 201, I'm looking at George Pickens, I'm looking at Chris Olave, I'm looking at I'm trying to think of who. Jahan Dotson.
Jahan Dotson
could be there. Be great back there.
Christian Watson. There's going to be some really good players there at that spot.
Sky Moore,
who's really rising up boards quite a bit. So, yeah, that would definitely be something that I would be looking to do is just keep building my wide receiver room, get 3 solid wide receivers.
Yeah, that's to me. I think Garrett just described a perfect scenario. Is that somehow it goes? You get Garrett Wilson, Jahan Dotson, George Pickens, Trey McBride.
I would love that.
That's a perfect situation. It's not going to help your team win that much this year. You can put them on your taxi squad, and you have an excuse because you have the receivers already put in their lineup. That would give you a core of, Garrett Wilson. Again, let's say it's Treylon Burks. Go with Michael Pittman to go with Elijah Moore.
Jalen Waddle.
To go with Kadarius Toney. And then you got George Pickens and Jahan Dotson. So then you got Trey McBride to the tight end room. That's a great position. And then if you have Jalen Waddle, even more so. And don't be afraid that, hey, I got too many young receivers, because now in a year from now, and even more so, so we're looking to compete in a little bit more in 2024 with this team. Now you're going to be armed with 3 24 picks, right? 24 for 2024 first, and about 6 young, hopefully stud tight end or receivers, good receivers. So now you have the young receiver along with the draft capital. You would be able to flip that team in 24 to go out there and start hand picking the championship caliber players you want, whether it be running backs, an upgrade at receiver. Because if you have a young receiver, say a guy like Kadarius Toney comes in, he's the number 1 there in New York. Brian Dable turns him into a Stephon Diggs-esque. Kadarius Toney in a first will put you in a position to go get the running back. Like, you can easily get Alvin Kamara right now for a package like that plus, right? You can easily go out there, find somebody who's got to blow it up. I mean, look, we just traded we're trying to trade Javonte Williams for something along those lines. So I think with that stable of receivers and with that many bullets in the gun, you're going to be in a really good position come 2024 with those 3 firsts and that young receiver to go get the tight end and the running back you want. And even more so, like Garrett said, you're holding off on quarterback for the next 2 years, because when 24 hits and you're ready to compete, you are going to be able to pick the quarterback that you want from the depth on somebody's chart, whether it be Derek Carr or some of those lines, and put him into your lineup, because that young receiver is going to be able to get you that quarterback. Those draft picks are going to be able to get you that quarterback. So I'm with Garrett. I'm trading every one of those quarterbacks this year, and then I'll handpick my guy and his backup come 2024 when I'm ready to compete. Because in the meantime, I'm getting Bijan Robinson and I'm getting Travion Henderson because my team's going to be so bad. That's what I'm looking at. And
It'll
then
be
you go
sexy.
into 2024 with two of the best young running backs in the NFL at that point in time, because 2 years down the road, remember, it's a hashtag 2 to 3 year window on these running backs. A lot of these guys, even now that are names, are going to be faded away. So build that young receiver core, get ready for 2024, get Bijan Robinson next year, and then in 24, you'll have the hand pickings of those running backs you want, and then use the rest of that capital, get the quarterback, to get the tight end, and then you're ready to compete, and then the third running back.
Love it.
I like it.
I think we audited it well.
Yep. Jimster, we appreciate you. We'll see you next year. I want to do round 2 with Jimster.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It's
Take
a
us out,
start.
Rich.
And you got to remember, when you're making these kind of moves in Dynasty, when you're using the Dynasty GM, sometimes you have to have a good roadmap to find your path to success. And not all paths to success is an immediate turnaround. We just put our path to success for 2024. And in Dynasty, that's one of the funnest parts of the game, is building that team, right? And building that team sometimes takes a couple of years to do, and you got to roadmap that path out. That's what the Dynasty GM is here to do, is helps you assist making these moves. It's what the extra podcasts are, what the rankings are in the film room. So make sure you check that out. If you use that promo code AUDIT, you're going to save yourself 50% on this beautiful tool you see before you, and so much more that Dynasty Nerds got to offer. Make sure you get on the site, check it out, see what we can give you. And how we can help you turn your team around or help you get over the edge. So maybe you're not like Jimster. Maybe you're a Javonte Williams away from winning your Dynasty Fantasy Football Championship. That's all we're here to do at Dynasty Nerds, is help you get that coveted championship. Check it out. Use that promo code AUDIT, and we'll help you get there.
Appreciate you, Jimster. You've been audited.